Hello, hello everybody. Welcome into the reading stream. Oh, we're missing some. I was wondering why it was kind of dark. I was wondering what happened. Oh, that's better. There we go. Alrighty, welcome in, welcome in. We are gonna read more Way of the Shadows, or Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna keep it to about an hour again tonight. Bader, how's it going? Welcome back. But yeah, I'm probably just gonna keep it to about an hour because I'm still pretty tired and still have to tend to Luna and stuff and give her her meds here soon. I got some sleep last night. I washed the bedding today and the couch, so hopefully that'll make me feel a little better. I had a really good grilled chicken, lemon pepper chicken with some vegetable pasta and marinara sauce, and it's this Bird's Eye Steamer brand, but they're really good. It's red potatoes and green beans and like a garlic sauce. Really good. And we got our tea, the usual chamomile, same creamer as last time. White chocolate mocha. Alrighty. Don't forget to share the stream everywhere. I don't know what that was. Exclamation point. Help to see all the commands. We got some new ones. We got coffee and wish list. If you want to spoil the animals or any donations to the stream or anything, really helps. Memberships as well. I am gonna be starting next month. I'm going to. I got the money. I got the money for the book. The Electric Church is $40 still, and it's an older book too. But my God, these books are gonna be so worth it for members only. They're going to be about an hour to an hour and a half long, members only videos of me reading through these series. It's the Avery Cates series, and it is a cyberpunk noir, futuristic cyberpunk noir book. And oh my God, I got to the third book. So the first one is The Electric Church, and it deals with a new religion coming to town. And it's like these robotic android monk type dealios, and it's so good. And then book 2 is The Digital Plague, which, if you know the game Soma, it's kind of similar to that, how the WoW virus became sentient. The Digital Plague is very similar. A virus became a sentient virus and started to affect people. And then the third book, The Eternal Prison, oh my God, it involves Avery Cates going to prison, obviously, but also him breaking out of the most unbreakable prison there is. They're great books, so I implore you to sub to the YouTube membership because it's going to be YouTube only. Like, we're going to continue this series on Twitch, but if you want the good stuff, it's going to be on YouTube members only. It's $2.99 to join, but I'm also going to add like sound effects and kind of things like that if I can, if it calls for it, whatnot, little bits and bobs like that. I also have one live stream a month, members only. It's the Tarnished Maidens. I will be going live tomorrow as well with the members only Tarnished Maidens. Hell yeah, you are, Peter, and you're a VIP here. Thanks for being a good watcher and a good community member. You're a good friend. I appreciate you. But yeah, you made me forget what I was saying. But yeah, so the Tarnished Maidens is going to be members only live stream on YouTube tomorrow. And that'll be at 7 p.m. PST. So hope to see you there. It'll be me and my friend Ariel. We talk about just raw things. That there's no censoring on those streams at all. So it's gonna get pretty crazy. Episode 1 was fairly mellow still, but I mean, all episode 1s usually are mellow. Let's see how we are. Maybe when we get to maybe half a year. But anyway, enough of the chit chat. We came here to read. All right, we are on chapter 25 of 66. I right? It was 66 chapters, right? I was wondering if there would be more of those streams with hips. Yes, there are. I had to reorganize some things and sort some stuff out, but yeah, we're good. My schedule has been awful lately. Your 66, no, your 66 chapters, the fuck? Yeah, literally. Oh, you can't see it because of the blur. 66 chapters. Alright. Here we go. Chapter 25. You ready to be champion? Master Blint asked. What are you talking about? Kyler asked. They'd finished the morning sparring and he'd done better than usual. He didn't even think he'd be sore tomorrow. He was 16 years old now, and it seemed like the training was finally starting to pay off. Of course, he still hadn't won a single fight with Master Blint, but he was starting to have hope. On the other hand, Blint had been in a foul mood all week. The king's tourney, Master Blint said. Kyler grabbed a rag and mopped his face. The safe house was small and it got the safe house was small and it got stiflingly hot. King Eileen Gunder, 9, had convinced the Blade Masters to certify a tourney in Scenaria. Of course they might watch and decide that not even the winner was good enough to be a Blade Master, but on the other hand, they might decide that 3 or 4 contestants were. Even a first echelon Blade Master could find great work at any royal court in mid-Syria. But typically, Blint had sneered. No, I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to read. Blint has sneered about the whole affair. Kyler said, You said the king's tourney was for the desperate, the rich, and the foolish. Mm-hmm, Blint said. But you want me to fight anyway, Kyler said. He guessed that made him desperate. Most children's talent quickened by their early teens. He still hadn't, and Blint was losing his patience. King's holding a tourney so he can hire the winner to be bodyguards. He wants to make sure he isn't hiring any wet boys, so this tourney has a special rule. No one talented allowed. There will be a Maha at the tourney to check all the contestants, a Chantry-trained healer. He's also there to ward the swords so the contestants don't kill each other and to heal anyone who gets hurt. The 9 have decided to flex their muscle. They want one of their own to win, to remind everyone who's in this city. So it's a situation that fits you like a peg leg fits a cripple. Not that it's coincidence. This tourney wouldn't even be happening if they hadn't suggested it. The 9 knows all about you and your little problem. What? Tyler was incredulous. He hadn't even known they knew who he was. What if he lost? Hugh Gibbet showed off his apprentice, Vera Diana, to the 9 this week. A girl, Kyler. I watched her fight. She's talented, of course. She'd take you, no problem. Kyler felt a wave of shame. Hugh Gibbet was a murderer of the vilest sort. Hugh loved murder, loved cruelty for its own sake. Hugh never failed, but he also always killed more than just the target. Blint despised him. Kyler was making his master look second best to a butcher. Wait, Kyler said. Isn't the tourney today? It was noon when Kyler arrived at the stadium on the north side of the Warrens. It had only been used for the horse races for the last 12 years. Before that, it had been home to the death games. Kyler approached, he could hear the crowds within. The stadium could hold 15,000 people, and it sounded full. He walked in a cocky glide. It was meant not only to suggest an arrogant young swordsman, but also to disguise his own natural stride. Count Drake wouldn't attend an event that he saw as reminiscent of the death games, but Logan Gear might, as would any number of the young nobles Kyler had to interact with on a fairly regular basis. Usually, Kyler felt no anxiety when he was disguised. First, he was good enough with disguises now that he didn't feel much danger. Second, anxiety drew attention like a lodestone. But now his stomach was in an uproar, because his disguise was no disguise at all. Master Blint had given him the clothes without comment. They were wet boy grays, as fine as anything Master Blint owned himself. They were the mottled gray and black that made a better camouflage in darkness than pure black did, the mottling breaking up the human shape. They were fitted perfectly, thin and tight on his limbs, but not impeding his movement. He suspected that the slender cut had another purpose. The 9 wanted him to look as young as possible. We sent an untalented child as our champion. He thrashed you. What happens when we send a wet boy? His clothes were completed with black silk. Silk! A cloak. A black silk mask that left only holes for his eyes. A slit for his mouth, and a shock of his dark hair uncovered. He'd rubbed a paste into his hair to make it look utterly black and pulled it into short, disheveled points, in place of his black weapons harness. Brent had given him one of gold, with gold sheaths for each of his daggers, throwing knives, and swords. They stood out starkly against the drab wet-boy grays. Brent had rolled his eyes as he gave it to Kyler. "You've got to go for melodrama. You might as well do it right," he said. "Like this is my fault." Few people lingered on the streets, but when Kyler strode to the side entrance of stadium, spectators and vendors gawked at him. He walked inside and found the fighters' chamber. There were over 200 men and a couple dozen women inside. They ranged from huge bashers Kyler recognized to mercenaries and soldiers to indolent young noblemen to peasants from the warrens who had no business holding a sword. The desperate, the rich, and the foolish indeed. He was noticed immediately, and a silence spread through the men joking too loudly, soldiers stretching, and women checking and double-checking their blades. "Is that everyone?" a bookish woman asked, coming from inside a room. She almost bumped into the huge man who was walking in with her as he stopped abruptly. Kyler's breath caught. It was Logan. Logan wasn't going to watch. He was going to compete. Then the Maha saw Kyler. She covered her surprise better than most. I see. Well, young man, come with me." Acutely aware of maintaining his cocky glide, Kyler walked right past Logan and the others. It was oddly satisfying to hear whispers erupt behind him. The examination room had once been used to treat injured slave fighters. It had the feel of a room that had seen a lot of death. There were even gutters around the base of each wall so blood could be washed away easily. "I'm Sister Drisa Nile," the woman said. "And though blade masters learn to use all edged weapons, for this tourney you can only use your sword. I'm going to have to ask you to remove your other weapons." Kyler gave her his best Durzoblint stare. She cleared her throat. "I suppose I could bind them magically to their sheaths. You won't be able to draw them for perhaps 6 hours, when the weaves dissipate." Kyler nodded, acquiescence. As she muttered under her breath, wrapping weaves around each of his sheaths, he studied the brackets that had been posted on the wall. He found Logan quickly, then actually looked for a few moments for his own name. "Like the 9 entered me under my real name. What am I listed as?" Kyler asked. She paused and pointed. "I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that's you. The name was listed as Kage." Drissa muttered, and the accent appeared out of nowhere, over the E. "Kage, the shadow. If the Sakage didn't send you, young man, you'd better find yourself a fast horse." No pressure. Kyler just glad to see that he was in the opposite bracket from Logan. His friend had grown into his height. Logan Gear was no longer clumsy. He had huge reach and he was strong. But training for an hour every other day wasn't the same as training for hours every day under Master Blend's tutelage. Logan was a good fighter, but there was no way he'd make it to the top of his own bracket, which meant Kyler wouldn't have to face him. Kyler drew his sword, and Sister Nile warded it. He tested the edge, and it was not just flat, but blunted, and a small circle around each edge, which showed she knew what she was doing. Even a practiced sword could cut if you sliced someone hard enough. At the same time, the weaves didn't appear to add any height to the blade, or to change how it traveled through the air. "Nice," Kyler said. He was trying to be as laconic as Durzo, so he didn't give away his voice. Most of Kyler's voice disguises still made him sound like a child trying to sound like a man. It was more embarrassing than effective. "The rules of the tourney are the first swordsman to touch his opponent 3 times wins. I've bonded a ward to each fighter's body that makes opponent's swords react. First time you touch your opponent, your sword will glow yellow. Second, orange. Third, red." "Now the last thing," she said, making sure you have no talent, "I'll have to touch you for this." "I thought you could see." "I can, but I've heard rumors of people being able to disguise their talent. And I won't break my oath to make sure this fight is fair. Not even here, not even for the Sakage." Drissa put her hand on his hand. She mumbled to herself the whole time. As Blent had explained it, women needed to speak to use their talent, but apparently it didn't need to be comprehensible. She stopped abruptly and looked him in the eye. She chewed her lip and then put her hand back on his. "That's no disguise," she said. "I've never seen. Do they know?" "They must. I suppose we wouldn't have sent him, but—" "What are you talking about?" Kyler asked. Sister Nile stepped back reluctantly, as if she didn't appreciate having to deal with a human being when she had something far more interesting on her hands. You're broken, she said. Go to hell. She blinked. I'm sorry, I meant people colloquially. I can't. Hold on. All right, so this is like what, the third word we're looking up? Hold on. Excuse me? Oh, I pushed the wrong one. All right, so. It's colloquially in the language of ordinary or familiar conversation. Colloquially. You threw a fucking Nokia at my screen. What the fuck, Peter? Thank you. Those things are indestructible. Let's take a couple drinks. I don't know why. Sometimes the chapters are short and sometimes they're super fucking long. I was right on the pronunciation the first time around, colloquially. I'm okay with, reading and words and figuring out things. Nothing thing. Okay. She blinked. I'm sorry, I meant people colloquially speak about having the talent as if it's simple, but it's not simple. There are three things that must all work together for a man or woman to become a mage. First, there's your Glorvirden, roughly your life magic. It's magic gleaned perhaps from your living processes, like we get energy from food, or maybe it's from your soul. We don't know, but it's internal. Half of all the people have a Glorvirden. Maybe everyone, just in most, it's too small to detect. Second, some people have a conduit, or a process that translates that power into magic or into action. It's usually very thin. Sometimes it's blocked, but say a man's brother has a loaded hay wagon fall on him. In that extremity, the man might tap into his Glorvirden for only the time in his life and be able to lift the wagon. Called adrenaline. On the other hand, men who have a Glorvirden and the wide-open conduit tend to be athletes or soldiers. They sometimes perform far better than the men around them, but then, like all others, it takes them time to recuperate. The amount of magic they can use is small and quickly exhausted. If you told them they were using magic, they wouldn't believe you. For a man to be a mage, he needs a third component as well. He must be able to absorb magic from sunlight or fire so that he can refill his Glorvirden again and again. Most of us absorb light through the eyes, but some do it through the skin. That is why we think Friaku's Gorothi go into battle naked, not to intimidate their foes, but to give themselves access to as much magic as possible. So what's that got to do with me? Kyler asked. Young man, you can absorb magic, either through your eyes like a mage's or through your skin. Your skin is practically glowing with it. I'd guess you would have a natural bent towards body magics. And your Glorvirden? I've never seen one like it. You could use magic for half the night and not empty it. It's perfect for a wet boy. But, she grimaced. I'm sorry, your conduit? What, it's blocked? Is it bad? He already knew it was blocked. Blint had been trying to break the block for years. It also made sense as to why Blint had made him lie out in the sun or sit uncomfortably close to forge fires. He'd been trying to force an overflow of magic so that Kyler couldn't help but use it. You have no conduit. Will you fix it? Money's no object, Kyler said, his chest tight. Not a matter of drilling a hole. It's more like making new lungs. This is not something any healer in the Chantry has ever seen, much less tried to fix. With the talent of your talent's magnitude, my guess is that the attempt would be lethal to you and the healer both. Do you know any magi who would risk their life for you? Kyler shook his head. Then I'm sorry. Could the Gandians help me? They have the best healers, don't they? I'm going to choose not to take offense at that, though most sisters would. I've heard wild stories from the men's green school, not that I believe it, but I heard of a magus who saved a dying woman's unborn child by putting it in her sister's womb. Even if that's true, that's dealing with pregnancy, and we healers work with difficult pregnancies all the time. What you've got, we never see. People come to us because they're sick. They bring their children to the chantry or one of the men's schools because they've set a barn on fire, or healed a playmate, or thrown a chair at someone's head using only their minds. People like you don't come to us. They just feel frustrated by life, like they're supposed to be something more than they are. But they can never break through. Thanks, Kyler said. Sorry. So that's it. There's nothing for me. I'm sure the ancients could have helped you. Maybe there's some forgotten old manuscript in the Gandian library that could help. Or maybe there's someone at the chantry who is studying talent disorders, and I simply don't know about it. I don't know. You could try, but if I were you, I wouldn't throw my life away looking for something you're never going to find. Make your peace with it. This time, Kyler didn't have to try. The Durzo Blint glare came to his eyes, no problem. Chapter 26, finally, starting the turning probably. Oh, why was that chapter so long? So yeah, the magic and all of this, they like try to make it seem more natural, like they were talking about the Glarverdin. Oh, excuse me, it's Glarverdin. It's basically adrenaline. Like, your talent is literally like the quirks or something from My Hero in this. I'm not lying. It's pretty cool. I like it. Ugh. How's everybody's night? Tea. Delicious. Got my last teeth cleaning done. My next dental appointment is on the 26th. And I think they said they were going to do my fillings finally. I'll have fillings again. That's pretty cool. My fillings fell out. So it's like, it sucks eating like super hot stuff or super cold things. And it sucks. It's painful. And then after that, I got to get my cavities sorted. And then after that, see, they're looking good. Oh yeah, my gums are looking really good. And then after that, I have to get my upper wisdom teeth removed because I only have upper wisdom teeth. Fucking sucks. All right. All right, yawn. Ugh. I'm back to reading. Chapter 26. Kyler walked into the stands of the stadium ready to hurt someone. Stands were full to overflowing. Kyler had never seen so many people. Vendors walked the aisles hawking rice, fish, and skins of ale. Noblemen and women had servants fanning them in the rising heat, and the king sat in the throne, drinking and laughing with his retinue. Kyler thought he even spied a sour-faced Lord General Aegon to one side. The crowd buzzed at the sight of Kage. Then the gate opened opposite of him, and a big peasant stepped in. There was a smattering of disinterested cheering. No one really cared who won. They were just happy that another fight was about to start. The horn blew, and the big peasant drew a big rusty bastard sword. Kyler drew his own blade and waited. The peasant charged Kyler and lifted his blade for an overhead chop. Kyler jumped in, jabbed his blade hard into the man's stomach. Then, as the peasant tripped past, Kyler slashed his kidney and hamstring. His sword glowed yellow, orange, red. Everyone seemed taken off guard except for the blade masters, sitting in a special section in their red and iron-gray cloaks. They pealed a bell immediately. There were a few cheers and a few boos, but most of the audience seemed more startled than anything. Kyler sheathed his sword and walked back into the fighter's chamber as the peasant dusted himself off, cursing. He waited alone, sitting still, not talking to anyone. Just before his next turn, a huge basher with a tattoo of a lightning bolt on his forehead sat next to him. Kyler thought his name was Bernard. Maybe it was Lefty? No, Lefty was the twin with the broken nose. You've got 9 fans out there who'd love it if you'd make it a bit of a show next time, the big basher said. Then he moved on. Kyler's second opponent was Ymiri. The horse lords didn't often come into the city, so the audience was excited. He was a small man covered with layers of brown horsehide, even his face masked behind leather. He too had kept the knives at his belt. Big forward-curving Garcus. His blade was a scimitar, excellent for slashing from horseback, but not as good for sword fight. Further, the Ymiri was drunk. As ordered, Kyler played with him. dodging heavy slashes at the last moment, mixing in spin kicks and acrobatics, basically violating everything Durzo had taught him. Against a competent opponent, Durzo said, you never aim to kick higher than your opponent's knee. Simply too slow, and if you don't leave your feet, jumping commits you to a trajectory you can't change. The only time to use a flying kick was what the Surans had developed it for. To unseat cavalry when you yourself were on foot and had no other option. This time, when Kyler won, the crowd roared. As Kyler came in from his fight, he saw Logan going out. Logan's opponent was either Bernard or Lefty. Kyler hoped the twin wouldn't be too hard on him. A few minutes later, though, Logan came in, flushed and triumphant. Bernard, or Lefty, must have gotten overconfident. Kyler's third fight was against the local swordmaster who made his living tutoring young noblemen. The man looked at Kyler as if it were his vilest snake in mid-Kiryu. But he was overeager on his ripostus. After scoring a single touch on Kyler, he lost and stormed off. It was only when Logan won his third fight against another swordmaster that Kyler smelled a rat. Then Kyler won his fourth fight against a veteran soldier, oddly enough, a low-ranking one and not from a good family, but against whom Kyler would have had a tough match. The soldier wasn't a good pretender. Kyler almost didn't attack the openings the man left. They were so blatant that Kyler was sure they were traps. Then he understood. The peasant had been real. The Emiri had been drugged. The swordmaster had been intimidated. The soldier had been bought. It was a single elimination tourney, so now there were only 16 men left. Kyler recognized 4 of them as Sakage, which meant there were probably another 4 Sakage he didn't recognize. The 9 had stacked the brackets. It infuriated him, but he sailed through his last fights as if they mattered, doing jump spin kicks, arm bars, leg sweeps, elaborate disarming combos, and everything else ridiculous he could think of. He thought the 9 believed him, that they were giving a real chance, do or die, but this was just another scam. There were great fighters here, but they'd been bought off. No doubt the bookies were making money hand over fist as Kyler rose through the one bracket and none other than Logan Gear rose through the other. Logan, tall, handsome Logan, the scion of a leading family, was hugely popular. But Logan's first fights had been staged to be very close to the Sakage could depress the odds against him. Then Logan had sailed through the most recent rounds. Great fighters took their dives at unlikely times, adding the Sakage coffers further. In most cases, it was done convincingly. When a semi-competent swordsman was trying to stab you, it didn't take much pretense to miss a block. But Kyler could tell, and he could tell that the blade masters could tell. He looked furious, and Kyler imagined it would be a long time before they could convince to hold a tourney in Scenaria again. The process be so oblivious corrupt to them that Kyler doubted they would grant him blade master status even if he earned it twice over. Just as obvious was the king couldn't tell, at least not... Sorry, I read that so stupid. Just as obvious was that the king couldn't tell, at least not one of the blade masters, went over and talked to him. Eileen jumped to his feet, and it took his counselors some time before they could calm him enough to make him sit. So the 9 had made their point with the king, but there was still money to be made, and if Kyler guessed correctly, the 9 wanted to make their point with the whole city. Kyler was disgusted as he walked onto the sand to face Logan. It was the last fight. This was for the championship. There was no good way out. He had half a mind to toss a sword at Logan's feet and surrender. But the king would think that the Sakage was declaring its support for Logan. Then it would only be so long before he hired a wet boy to go visit the Gear estate, or a simple assassin if the Sakage wouldn't take the job. Nor could Kyler let him win after a close fight. Excuse me. Now that the king knew the Sakage had stacked the whole event, he would think they were trying to make Logan look good. So what was Kyler supposed to do? Humiliate his best friend? The earlier elation had faded completely from Logan's face. He was dressed in fine, light chainmail, with black links in the shape of a gear falcon on the front and back. And the crowd roared as the two came together, but neither of the young men paid the crowd any attention. "I'm not good enough to make it this far. You've set me up," Logan said. "I've been trying to decide what to do about it. I was thinking of throwing my sword down and capitulating to spoil it for you. But you're Sakage, and I'm a gear. I'll never surrender to darkness and corruption. So what's it going to be? Do you have another blade hidden that isn't warded, or are you going to kill me publicly just to remind Scenaria whose boot it is on her throat? I'm just a sword, Kyler said, his voice gruff as Blint's. Logan scoffed. A sword? You can't excuse what you are so easily. You're a man who's betrayed every part of his better nature, who at every junction has decided to walk deeper into darkness, and for what? Money? Logan spat. Kill me, if that's what you've been paid for. Shadow, because I will tell you this, I will do my best to kill you. Money? What did Logan know about money? He'd had money every day of his life. One of his worn-out gloves could be sold to feed a guild rat for months. Kyler felt hot rage wash through his blood. Logan didn't know anything, and yet he couldn't be more right. Kyler leapt forward at the exact moment the horn blew, not that he cared whether he was following the rules. Logan began to draw his sword, but Kyler didn't bother. He launched himself forward with a lunging kick at Logan's sword hand. The kick connected before Logan had the sword halfway out of his sheath. Smacked the hilt from his fingers and twisted him into the side. Kyler ran into Logan, twined a foot around the bigger man's legs, and carried them both to the ground. Kyler landed on top of him and heard the breath whoosh from Logan's lungs. He grabbed each of Logan's arms and yanked them up behind his back, trapping them in one hand. He grabbed a fistful of Logan's hair with the other hand and slammed his face into the sand as hard as he could, again and again, but the sand was too yielding to knock him out. Standing, Kyler drew his sword. The sounds of Logan moaning and his own heavy breathing seemed to be the only sounds in all of the world. The stadium was silent. There wasn't even any wind. It was hot, so damned hot. Kyler slashed viciously across Logan's left kidney, and then his right. The sword was warded, so it didn't cut, of course, but it was still like getting smacked with a cudgel. Logan cried out in pain. He suddenly sounded so young despite his huge body. Logan was barely 18, but the sound embarrassed Kyler. It was weakness. It was humiliating, infuriating. Kyler looked around the stadium somewhere. The 9 were here watching, each dressed as an ordinary man, pretending to share his neighbor's horror, pretending to be friends with the men they despised, men they would betray for nothing more than money. There was noise behind Kyler, and he saw Logan had fought to his hands and knees. He was struggling to stand, his face was bleeding from 100 tiny cuts from the sand, and his eyes were unfocused. Kyler lofted his glowing orange sword to the crowd, then spun around and smashed the flat of the blade into the back of Logan's head. His friend crumpled, unconscious, and the crowd gasped. Humiliating Logan had been the only way to save him, but humiliation served in such a dishonorable manner would not draw attention to Logan's defeat, but instead to the Sakage. They were vile and shameless and omnipotent, and today Kyler was their avatar. He tossed the red sword down and raised his hands to the crowd once more, this time in dual one-fingered salutes. To hell with all of you. To hell with me. Then he ran. Damn! So they set him up, and they made him fight his best friend, pretty much. And then made him embarrass his best friend in front of the entire freaking scenario. 15,000 people. And mind you, Logan Gear is a duke. So, yeah. Insanity. Insanity. Beep, boop, boop, bop. Do you guys want to go raid somebody after we're done? How many people we got here? We can go raid somebody. Even the people on YouTube, if you want to pop over to the purple app, we can go raid somebody after we're done. I just really hope somebody's online when I go to leave. Get my stuff back up. Oh my goodness, I am tired, man. Those homemade brownies I made, oh my god, I actually might make some more. Yeah, I might actually make more once I get off. Because I have to give Luna her food still. My poor baby has diabetes. I'm gonna fucking, before next stream, I'm gonna add, like, I'm gonna see if I can get, like, a little thing like right down here or something. I'm like, get out of here. Like right up here or something. That's like a little picture frame thing that like fades between all my animals, so you guys know who you're supporting. Because I'm doing this for them. I'm trying to make money for them. I'm applying at the vet, actually, as a vet assistant or a vet tech. So I already know so much about it. I don't even think I freaking. I'll just help the front. I don't care if I get discounts or anything. I just want to be able to have another steady income. Just to be sure I can, make sure they're okay. So Luna has, because Luna's gonna need insulin now. So, and I was reading up on big period of the high protein diet. The high protein diet is probably gonna be the best. Best thing for tuna. My big girl. Oh, poor baby. These, oh my god. Me and the kitty are twins. You're tuna? Is that what you're saying, Peter? Oh, holy shit. I know a lot of people with diabetes right now. What the fuck? Give me 1 second though. I'm gonna go check, make sure everything's good out there. Came back at just the right time, damn. You guys want to see the chumpy bums? The bumble chumps, the big guy? Come here, guy. Oh, look at that guy. Wait, oh god, you're adorable. Chumpy. Hey, you. I'll put you down. He got confused. He didn't know how to be held again. Zombies. Okay. Now, we're almost halfway I have no clue which one you are, but you are cute. That was Fatto. That's who everybody donated to get checked out the first time, and he got a little shot for him. Tummy to. He has lost some weight, but like he's eating, he's drinking, he's going to the bathroom normal. He throws up every once in a while, every couple days, and it's just like a tiny little bit of like liquid. That, but like when we were there was nothing that was alarming that the doctor said. His temperature was fine, everything was fine. So, I think because he just turned 9, they're kind of settling into their old bodies. I need to take my hair out though. I've been hair up for like the past few days and it's been giving me a headache. Tuna can? My cats would always throw up for no reason. Mine do too. They do. Yeah, Tuna can. I just went and checked on her. She's doing good. She's sleeping in her box in the room. She is definitely. Once we get her sorted with her medications and everything, I'm going to be spending some time with her to lose some weight, and I'm going to be putting them all on a feeding regime. And it's going to be hard. They're going to hate me. Alright. I think we could probably get in like 1 or 2 more chapters, maybe. Remember, sharing the stream and everything helps wonders. It only costs $2.99 to join as a member too, and you guys will start having more member stuff by next month, I promise. And don't forget the members only stream tomorrow evening. Won't be good. Back on Elden Ring. I have like 5 Elden Ring characters and I'm playing with everyone. Good stuff, good stuff. Alright. Chapter 27. The Modani Smoking Club's windows were Plangon plate glass cut into wedges and fanciful zoomorphic shapes. If you looked at the shapes in the glass, you could ignore the outside world completely, which was the point. If you looked at the shapes, you wouldn't notice the bars on the other side of the window. Kyler stood at that window, staring through those bars at a girl down in the Sidlin market. She was bargaining with a vendor for produce. Doll girl, Eileen, was growing up, perhaps 15 years old now that Kyler was 18. She was beautiful, at least from this safe distance. Wow, I struggled. From here he could see her body, supple curves clad in a simple serving dress, her hair pulled back and shining gold in the sun, and the flash of an easy smile. Though he couldn't make out her scars from this distance, through the colored glass, her white dress was blood red. The leaded zoomorphic whorls reminded him of the whorls of her scars. She'll destroy you, Mama Kay said behind him. She's part of a different world from any you'll ever know. I know, he said quietly, barely glancing over his shoulder. Mama Kay had come into the room with a new girl, an East Side girl, young and pretty. Mama Kay was combing the girl's blonde hair out. The Modaini Smoking Club was very different from most of the brothels in the city. Courtesans were here were trained in the arts of conversation and music as much as the arts of the bedchamber. There was no scandalous dress, no nudity, no groping in the public areas, and no commoners allowed. Mama Kay had found out about Kyler's excursions long ago, of course. Couldn't keep anything secret from Mama Kay. She'd argued with him about it, and still made her comments whenever she happened to be here. But once she'd found out that he wouldn't stop coming, she'd made him swear that he'd come into the smoking club and watch from inside. If he was going to be stupid, she said, he might as well be safe. If he went outside, sooner or later he'd bump into the girl and talk to her and bed her and fall in love with her and get himself killed for his defiance. Don't be shy, Mama Kay said to the girl. You're soon going to be doing a lot more while a man's in the room than changing your clothes. What is going on down here, Momo? Dude. Fatto was just trying to walk by Momo and she was freaking out. Alright, anywho. Kyler didn't turn his head. Kyler didn't turn as he heard the sounds of clothes dropping being shed. Just what he needed. He was depressed already. I know it's scary your first time, Daedra, Mama Kay said gently. It's a hard business, isn't that right, Kyler? It had better be. It doesn't... Jesus, I can't fucking read right now. It had better be. It doesn't do much when it's soft. Daedra giggled, more for her nerves than Kyler's cleverness, no doubt. He didn't turn from the barred window. He was soaking his eyes in Aileen. What would her clear brown eyes say as she looked at the girl behind him, preparing for her first client? Going to feel guilty at first, Daedra, Mama Kay said. Expect it, ignore it. You're not a slut. You're not a liar. You're an entertainer. Men don't buy fine Sethi wine because they're thirsty. They buy it because it makes them feel good, and buying it makes them feel good about themselves. That's why they come here too. Men will always pay for their vices, whether it's wine or lifting your skirt or murder, Kyler said, touching the full coin purse and the dagger at his belt. He could almost feel a chill in the air, but Mama Kay ignored him and continued on. The secret is to decide what you won't sell. Never sell your heart. Some girls won't kiss, some won't be kept by one man. Some won't prefer certain services. I did it all, but I kept my heart. Did you? Kyler said. Really? He turned and his heart jumped into his throat. Through Mama Kay's art, Daedra now looked identical to Aileen. Similar build, similar glorious curves, the same gleaming gold hair, the same simple servant's dress, similar to everything but that she was on the side of the bars. Close enough to touch, and Aileen was out there. Daedra had an uncertain smile, like she couldn't believe how she was talking to Mama Kay. Mama Kay was furious. She swept across the room and grabbed Kyler's ear like he was a naughty little boy. She hauled him out of the room by his ear onto the second-story landing. It was full of overstuffed chairs and fine rugs. With a bodyguard sitting in one corner and doors leading to 4 different courtesans' rooms, stairs led down to a parlor lined with suggestive but not explicit paintings and leather-bound books. Mama Kay finally released his ear and closed the door behind her quietly. Damn you, Kyler. Daedra is terrified already. What the hell are you doing? Telling an ugly truth, he shrugged. Telling lies, whatever. If I wanted truth, I'd look in the goddamn mirror. This isn't about the truth. It's about making the best of what you've got. This is about that girl, isn't it? That madness? You saved her, Kyler. Now let her go. She owes you everything. She owes me her scars. You're a damned fool. Have you ever looked at what's happened to all the other girls in your guild? Not even 10 years out, they're drunks and riot weed smokers, cut purses and cripples, beggars and cheap whores, 15-year-old mothers with starving children or unable to bear children at all because they've used tansy tea so many times. I promise you, Eileen's not the only girl from your guild with scars given to her by some twist, but she is the only one with hope and a future. You gave her that, Kyler. The only thing you could have done better was murder that boy earlier, before he did anything to you. If you'd been that kind of child capable of murder, you wouldn't have been the kind of boy who cared what happened to some little girl. The truth is that even if they were your fault, Eileen's scars were a small price for the life you've given her. Kyler turned away. The landing had the window, overlooking the market too. It was simple glass, clear, neither cut nor colored like the glass in the courtesan's room. It too was barred, though with simple straight iron. The bar's edges were sharp as one of Blint's knives. Aileen had come closer, and he could see her scars. But then she smiled, and her scars seemed to disappear. How often did girls in the Warrens smile like that? Kyler found himself smiling in response. He felt lighter than he could ever remember. He turned and smiled at Mama Kay. I wouldn't have expected to find absolution from you. She didn't smile back. It's not absolution, it's reality. And I'm the perfect person to give you that. Besides, you carry guilt as badly as Durzo. Durzo? Durzo never feels guilty about anything, Kyler said. A flicker of disgust passed over her face. She turned to look at Aileen. End this farce, Kyler. What are you talking about? Durzo told you the rules. You can fuck, but you can never love. He doesn't see what you're doing, but I do. You believe you love Aileen, so you won't... I don't know. I have to use such brutal language sometimes. Why don't you get this out of your system? Her voice got gentle. Kyler, you can't have that girl out there. Why don't you take what you can have? What are you talking about? Go into Daedra. She'll thank you for it. It's on the house. If you're worried because you're inexperienced, she's a virgin too. Too? Gods, did Mama Kay have to know everything? No, Kyler said. No thanks, I'm not interested. Kyler, what are you waiting for? Some glorious Some glorious soul union with that girl out there. It's just fucking. That's all you get. That's the deal, Kyler. And you know it when you started. We all make our deals. I did, Durzo did, and you did too. Giving up, Mama Kay gestured to one of her bashers downstairs to let a client through. A hairy-knuckled slob wheezed his way up the stairs. Though richly dressed, he was fat and ugly and foul-smelling, and grinning broadly with black teeth. He paused on the landing, licking his lips, a slack-jawed picture of lust. He nodded to Mama Kay, winked conspiratorially at Kyler, and went into the virgin courtesan's room. Maybe they were bad deals, Kyler said. Doesn't matter. There's no going back. Chapter 28. We're so close to being halfway through this book, and we've had 5 streams, I want to say. Not bad. It gets so much more intense in the other books. There's so much more death, and don't get attached to characters, that's all I'm saying. These people drop like what's that one show? Almost said Lord of the Rings. Game of Thrones. They drop like Game of Thrones, and I've not seen Game of Thrones, but I've heard stories about Game of Thrones and how badly people die in that. Actually, I'm gonna spoil one part that I've never seen, but one of my old coworkers told me. Apparently, and if somebody's in chat that has seen Game of Thrones has seen this, confirm it for me. Apparently, one of the most gruesome deaths on Game of Thrones involved having liquid gold poured over one of the characters, like melted or burned. You've not seen it? Nope. I've been wanting to start it though. I'm super interested. I've seen so many bits and pieces of it. Like, oh my god, Brienne of Tarth. She's adorable. But yeah, like I've seen bits, pieces throughout the whole thing, but I've not actually sat down and watched it. How many seasons are there now? I know there's a lot. Well, we have made it an hour. I think we're going to end it at chapter 28. And we shall probably pick it up next week. Thursday. 8 seasons and a couple of spin-off shows. Well, 8 seasons? I thought there was more than that for some reason. I thought we were up to like 10 plus for some reason. I don't know why. It seems so much longer than that. What the fuck? But yeah. The schedule is still up. Monday is going to be Conquer's Bad Fur Day at 11:30 in the morning PST. Then Blasphemous again Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Maybe because of the House of the Dragon 3. I think that's probably, yeah. I think that's what did it. But yeah, so, Monday morning we'll be playing Conquer's Bad Fur Day, 11:30 PST, and then 8:15 Monday as well, because we do 2 streams on Monday. We do morning and evening stream now. So Monday evening stream will be back on reading, and then Wednesday evening stream Blasphemous, and hopefully Thursday evening stream for another reading stream, because I like the reading streams. They're fun. I'll probably do like 2 different types of readings, one live, maybe just push it over to the members only stuff after this this bout of books and stuff to make it a little easier so I don't have so much stuff and I have members content. But yeah, I will be updating the schedules here pretty soon since the end of the month is coming up. Yeah, hopefully I see some familiar faces tomorrow in the Tarnished Maidens. That would be super lovely. So yeah, it's only $2.99 to join, and it helps support me, it helps support the kitties, it helps support the animals. Just all around supports us all so we can make it. All that jazz. Appreciate you all for stopping by and listening to me read and stutter and try to get better at reading again. But Peter, have a good rest of your night, morning, day, etc. Saturday, because I know you're in Saturday already. You're in the future. You guys have a good rest of your night. Nerd. You know what, Uncle? Meet me in Discord. We're gonna fight. So, yeah. Drop the Discord and chat. I'll see you guys later. Join the Discord. Come bully me. Have a good night, everyone.